James Gunn has kept the writer for Batman the Brave and the Bold a secret, and it has now been revealed to be Christina Hodson? James, what are you doing, man?
He's a lunatic!
Now, for those of you that don't know, Christina Hodson wrote 3 high-profile movies of note: Bumblebee, which I liked, Birds of Prey, and The Flash, a movie that many hated, but I actually liked. But I don't think it's good enough to level you up to a Batman movie. Now, Birds of Prey was such a poor film. Some of the action was good, and that's because Warner Brothers called in Chad Stahelski to come in and reshoot some of the action. And you can tell which action scenes are his, and which aren't. And Christina Hodson wrote Black Mask, and this is nothing like the calculated character we had in the comics. Batman villains have a lot going for them, but Christina Hodson just watered him down to being a sexist nut who harassed women. That's it. He was just a bitch throughout the whole movie, and he even dies like a bitch. And even the corrupt cops were just sexist nuts who belittled women and took credit for their work. And then you had Joker, who was just a sexist nut who took credit for a woman's work.
I was the brains behind some of Mr. J's greatest stunts. Not that he let anyone know it.
Yeah, Joker is an evil mastermind, but the movie made it out like Harley was the genius, and Joker just took credit for her criminal intelligence. And this is the writer that is supposed to be penning the DCU's Batman? Now, for argument's sake, because there are defenders of her movies, let's just say she's written good movies. Good movie, good movie, good movie. This resume is still not good enough to award her a Batman movie. The previous 2 writers that we had for Batman was Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves, filmmakers whose prior writing talents consisted of very mature, dark, and serious character studies. And from a writing perspective, that's what made them a perfect fit for Batman. You could see how these films were the perfect jumping off point for these filmmakers to tackle a Batman movie, and both their tones and directing styles really go with the darker and more sophisticated characters, as well as the villains and side characters, and the corrupt world of Gotham. They know how to write for really complex and rich characters and worlds like these. And then we have Christina Hodson, who wrote comedy Birds of Prey, Iron Giant knockoff Bumblebee, and The Flash. Hardly the perfect jumping off point, especially when you start to dissect them. Her villains are incredibly poor and hold next to no value. Her representation of Gotham was so cartoonish and consisted of sexist cops and villains, and even when something was well written like the scene with Bruce and Barry, it's not at the level that is required for a Batman movie. It's decent, but not great, and you want a writer that can deliver something great. How did James Gunn think this writer would be a perfect fit? This is such a bland, generic, and boring choice. This is a writer that you would pick for any random superhero movie so they can work their way up and get some experience. And he's giving her Batman? This leads me to believe that we are going to get a very generic superhero movie with the brave and the bold. James Gunn is not aiming high with this film. With Batman's amazing legacy of writers and directors, how does James Gunn think that his Batman movie can survive, especially whilst Matt Reeves is writing and directing his Batman movies at the same time? Honest answer? He can't. He's massively ill-equipped and outmatched. One is being led with significantly more skilled talent than the other. Now, people are trying to say, well, with the Nolan movies, you had David S. Goyer write the movie, and with Matt Reeves' Batman, you have another inexperienced writer. Well, here's the thing. David Goyer is not a great writer, but he did write Blade, a movie that was much more well-received than Christina Hodson's films. Also, Christopher Nolan was writing that movie too. It wasn't just David S. Goyer. And in terms of the Batman, Peter Craig was not the only writer. Matt Reeves was helming the project, and he had come off of writing War for the Planet of the Apes. So both of these Batman films had writers that were praised left and right for their previous writing credits. In fact, Christopher Nolan received an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay, and Matt Reeves' film was being described as one of the best movies of the decade, with everyone praising the writing and the quality of the movie. So Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves, they were the main writers for those movies, and they have a much more solid resume than Christina Hodson. If their co-writers were helming those projects, then yes, I would give them the same amount of scrutiny as I am giving Christina Hodson here. If she was a co-writer like Goyer and Craig, then I would be much more accepting. But to be the sole head writer, with her credentials...
That's not good enough!
So people's defense for her holds no water. Christopher Nolan and Matt Reeves are far superior writers. And like I said, these projects were being led with significantly more skilled writing talent than this project. And I don't know why James Gunn is doing this. You can't be assigning cheap talent with a character like Batman, especially when the bar is set so high, and reuniting the Flash writer and director for a Batman film is not a good combination. This makes me even think that Andy Muschietti isn't the right choice. If he had a different writer with a different vision and writing sensibilities, then I would say, sure, give Andy another shot, especially after his amazing Welcome to Derry show. But putting him back together with her? This is not a recipe I want to see again. And I am someone who liked the movie. Now, even if this Batman the Brave and the Bold movie is better than her previous writing credits, you've gotta ask, how much better is it realistically going to be? Because the Batman movies are so phenomenal, and some of them are known as some of the best comic book movies ever made, and they have set an incredibly high bar. And I can already tell you that this movie is not even gonna be in the same league. Hiring Christina Hodson makes no sense to me. She has only 5 writing credits to her name, the lowest they were able to score on IMDb is a 4.8 out of 10 audience score and a 25% meta score. And the highest they were able to score is a 6.7 audience score and a 66% meta score. And Bumblebee was mostly just a copy of the Iron Giant. She wasn't writing something truly original, she was copying someone else's homework. James Gunn chose the wrong talent here. This is a very misguided idea. But do you know what? I don't care, because the only one this is going to affect in the end is James Gunn and his credibility for getting stuff done. If this is the talent he is assigning to his Batman film, I'll just direct my excitement towards Matt Reeves' Batman movies because it's no competition. A better writer for The Brave and the Bold would have been someone like James Mangold, who had written and directed a dark, sophisticated and mature character study, and he introduced a sidekick for the main hero, which The Brave and the Bold is going to do with Damian Wayne. That would have been an interesting writer and director to take on a Batman film for the DCU. But the writer for these 5 movies? It is so disheartening to see James Gunn hire this writer for one of the most important superheroes in the DCU. Even if the movie is good, it's not gonna be that good. It feels like there is a limit to the quality that she can deliver, and James Gunn should have aimed higher. I mean, he has with Lanterns, hiring the writers of Ozark and Watchmen, 2 very highly regarded shows that are intelligent and sophisticated. I thought he would put the same effort into hiring a team for his Batman movie, but sadly, he didn't. I have no hope for this project anymore. I have 0 expectations for it. The only thing it can do now is surprise me. Now, if she does do a good job, then I will be the first person to come out and say that I was wrong. But whereas I had such excitement when James Gunn announced the writing talent behind the Lanterns show, I was hoping that he would put a team together that was just as good for Batman the Brave and the Bold. And this was not what I had in mind. In the meantime, I'll just stick with Matt Reeves. That is someone who knows how to deliver high-quality, intelligent writing and in-depth character studies, and we won't be getting anything even close to that level of quality from The Brave and the Bold. What a shame. Even if some of you are fine with having her as a writer, tell me honestly that James Gunn couldn't have picked someone better. Literally, the whole world is his oyster. Every writer in Hollywood would have lined up to write a Batman movie. I said James Mangold earlier, but Drew Goddard is also a friend of James Gunn's, and he created the Netflix Daredevil show. What if he wrote the movie? Or imagine if he got Paul Dini, who wrote some of the best animated series episodes and the prestigious Arkham games. There are countless other people for the job that would have been far more exciting. Batman has had the highest quality of movies compared to every other superhero. He has elevated and revolutionized the comic book movie genre. The barrier of quality and success has been raised.
You'll notice that your grades are lower than expected. He broke the curve, turning your A's and B's into B's and C's.
So even if Christina Hodson delivers a good movie, for Batman standards, a good movie is nothing special and subpar. But that's enough from me. Comment below with your thoughts, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch all of you very soon. Take care.